Okay, so I was actually in the middle of my walk and I realized I did not make a clear distinction in one particular subject that I was trying to get across in that last video. So I came back so I can tell you a little bit more clearly of what I was trying to say. So basically, like, for example, you hear about so many different stories of people who believe that they have a past life as some famous figure, like let's say Cleopatra. There's like 20 people, right, that you can think of or meet through the course if you ask a bunch of people who they were in a past life, if they believe in that, and they may sincerely believe that they're Cleopatra. Realistically, there is only one Cleopatra, right? And so I don't believe that they're incorrect as far as feeling that they were that, but it's part of that DNA consciousness. So when we're all part of the human body in essence, then we are all collectively gathering that same information. So in truth, on some level, like a higher level, we are living that life. We aren't directly living it firsthand, but through the collection of other experiences of other souls, then yes, our essence has lived that, has breathed that, has experienced that, has record of that. So when you have come into this life multiple times, you are getting that first-hand 1 minute, my throat is scratchy. Forget, I'm just gonna keep coughing because I need to get this out so I can get on with it. So you are living a first-hand experience as a human being experiencing whatever it is that you're experiencing, okay? Rather than collecting it from somewhere else. Now, that on like a lower level or a more like focused level, what are you doing is you are an arm becoming a leg, okay? So you experience your soul or your spirit normally as an arm, and yet you want to come down and experience the leg, because the brain, the overall component that drives the entire body, is collecting information. So the arm has a sense of awareness of the leg, but it's never been a leg. So you come into these incarnations as a leg. Now, in a lot of ways, when I talk about, so when you do that, there are multiple ways in which you are attacked. The first way you're attacked on that direct level is because the leg that is normally operating, the other leg will say, recognizes that the other leg, so the left leg, you're the left leg, the right leg recognizes that the left leg is not really a leg, right? It's some foreign object. So people attack others from a lower frequency. They will attack others that they don't understand, or they'll dismiss others that they don't understand. So you're coming from a perspective of saying, I yearn to understand, I desire to understand. Where you're coming from, in essence, is because of that, right? So you're coming from somewhere else into the realm of the legs, and the legs, like you're in the company of the legs, right? Those lower processes, right? So you see there's a differentiating just elements, right? And so what that does though is it allows an awareness within the legs of something above the arms, and thus liberates the leg into realizing it can also become an arm if it so chooses, right? Through other processes of how you became the leg. And so in doing so, then ultimately, then it gives this full body awareness and experience of saying, I am in control of what my arms do, my legs do. It becomes sentient. The whole body becomes sentient rather than just like a movement, which gets into this other thing that I want to derail on, but I won't right now because I need to finish this part, which is essentially when I talk about like the shoulder and having like a graph on it. So on like a wider level, that's essentially what you're doing, is that you are bringing healing energy by patching up something that is dysfunctional. There's something dysfunctional about this area, but you come with a playful way, right? So your overall being is such a playful being. It's such a playful personality. And so you're like a bouncy ball or a bouncing animal into like tall grasses, like playful. Because that energy is bringing light to these realms. It brings this feeling of like it's going to be okay, it can be okay, and just happiness. You bring joy and happiness here. Okay, so I do want to say, like, as far as what I was talking about with like the range of which you are able to heal, if you so choose to heal, I think is such a great representation of everything is everything, in the sense of how the body, like the spiritual warfare that's occurring, and how like the insidious part of the mind where it wants to go back to what's normal, like what it decides is normal, safe, right? Like that's what the body does. It doesn't have the wisdom that kind of drives it to say, I'm going to choose what's good for me. Like let's say an addiction, right? You're addicted to something that you know is bad for you. And so you have these compulsions to go back to that. When in truth, your mind saying, that's not good for me. I know it's not good for me. So it's this constant push and pull, that spiritual battle represented in the physical. It's the flesh that is desiring what's kind of safe, normal, predictable, animalistic, craving that, versus the spirit that's saying, I know what's right for my body. My body is just operating based off of these patterns. I'm pulling from the pattern. I'm pulling away from the patterns of this. That's the quote that I love, the Bible verse. It's do not conform to the patterns of this world, but I don't know, something of the mind. Google it. No, I'll look it up. It's actually at the end of that song that I love so much, Different. So I'll put that song. And then at the end of the music video, it says it. But yeah. Adios, amigos y amigas.